In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to cut and sew this beautiful dress with side gather. It also has a bustier, as you can see, with puff sleeve. If this is something interesting to learn, you want to keep on watching. And let's get started. And if you're to subscribe, kindly hit on the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you're always notified anytime I upload new video. So let's dive into today's tutorial. Okay, so what I want to do is to draft first. Okay, so from the upper part of my pattern, I'll come down by my bust point, under bust, my waistline and hip line. I repeat the same thing on the other side, then use my stretch ruler to extend those points to give me a straight line. After that, I'll also go ahead and label. So after labeling, the next thing you want to do is to determine the length you want for your gown. I want to make mine 36 inch plus 1 inch for sewing allowance. Then I'll have 37. I'll mark, then I'll extend the line. I'll label as gown length. Okay. After that, from the bust point line, go up by 2 inch. This will serve as your chest line. Then I'll also mark half of my shoulder measurement. I'll do the same thing at the chest line, then connect the 2 points like so. Come down by 1 inch for shoulder slope, mark 3 inch for your neck width, connect your shoulder slope like so, and also make your armhole curve. This is for a guide. Okay, so after doing that, I also label a shoulder line. The next thing I did was from the chest line, I marked half of my nipple to nipple, which is 3.5. I marked it also at the waistline. From the waistline, I went down by 4 inch. That is where my dart will stop. Do you get? Then I'm going to connect from the chest line to that point where I marked 4 inch. Okay, so at the side going towards the center front of the chest line, I'll go in by half inch, also go in by half inch on the under bust. Do the same thing at the waistline. Then on the other side, I'll mark 1.5 inch at the waistline and under bust, and also half inch on the chest line. So I will connect the both point like so, then use my curve rule to connect from the bust point to the under bust. I'll use a stretch ruler to connect from the under bust to the waistline, then also connect to the dart leg. That is where our dart stopped. Okay, so go ahead and connect yours like so, just like you see me doing here. If you are busty, you can go in by 1 inch towards the center front. Okay, and on the chest line you can also mark 1 inch on both sides instead of the half an inch. That is if you're busty. So after connecting those darts, I'll mark quarter of my bust measurement, replace the dart of 1 inch and also 1.5 for seam allowance. At the waistline, I'll mark quarter of the waist measurement, replace the 2-inch dart and also 1.5 inch seam allowance. At the hip line, I'll mark quarter of my hip measurement plus 1.5 inch seam allowance since there is no dart. So at the chest line, I'll connect to the waistline, then use my curve to connect from the waistline to the hip. After connecting to the hip, I have to measure what I have there. In total, it was 12 inch. Then coming down to the hemline, I'm going to I'll minus 1 inch from the 12 inch, then mark what I had left. Then I'll connect from the hip line to the gown length. Okay, just like this. So once I'm done with this, the next thing I want to do now is to remove my inches for off shoulder. For me, I always take out 5.5 inch or 5 inch for my off shoulder. Yours could be 6 inch or 7 inch. So I took out 5.5 inch for my. Then after extending the line, I'll mark 3 inch. Okay, then I'll connect like so. Just extend your dart towards the upper part. Okay, so after I was done with that, I will also go in from the center front by half an inch and I'll come down by 1 inch, then I'll connect like so. All right, so this will give you the open effect we have at the center front. So now I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead now to cut it out. Okay, just watch what I'm doing here so you learn. So go ahead and cut through the off shoulder line. That is all for the front. For the back, I am marking 1.5 inch for zip allowance. Then I'll connect a straight line like so. After connecting my straight line, I will quickly place the front pattern paper. Then I'll use my marker to extend the waistline and also trace the shape. I'll trace the down part, then also trace the side, including the armhole. Okay, just like this. So because we have so many allowances at the front, I will have to reduce the allowances we have here by retaking the measurement. So this is for the back. So extend your waistline, label as waistline, extend your chest line, label as waistline, and also get your hip line extend it and label as well. Okay, so from the center front, sorry, from the center back, I'll mark half of my nipple to nipple, which is 3.5. Then I'm going to connect from the waistline, stop at 4 to 5 inch. Okay, do not get your dart length to your hip line. So at the waistline, also subtract half inch on both sides, then come come down by 1 inch from the chest line, connect like so. This is your normal dart intake. So after connecting my normal dart intake, I'm going to remove half inch to help us remove or avoid zipper boardness. Okay, after attaching our zip. Now after connecting that, I'm going to mark quarter of my bust measurement at the chest line, then 1.5 inch seam allowance. I did not include any dart there. So at the waistline, I'll mark quarter of my waist measurements, replace the dart plus 1.5 inch seam allowance. At the hip line, mark quarter of your hip measurement, replace your, there is no dart, sorry, just add 1.5 inch seam allowance. So connect from the chest line to the hip, then measure what you have together there and minus 1 inch. Okay, mark whatever you had left at the hem part, then you connect and cut it out like so. You get. So if this interests you, kindly hit on subscribe button if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So after cutting the side, you should cut through the zip allowance. Okay, and from the upper part, I went down by 1 inch. All right, you can decide to leave it straight, but I want the neckline to come down a little bit at the back, so that's why I did it like that. So I went ahead to cut it out just like this. As you can see, now the back pattern is ready. You get. The next thing we want to do now is to label. This is the back and this other one is the front. So we want to achieve the stylish gather in front and curve we have at the front. Okay, so from your center front, go in by half of your nipple to nipple. Mine was 3.5, but I marked 3 inch. It's best you mark half of your nipple to nipple so you can have it in the same line with your dart leg. Do you get? So it will be on the same line with your dart line. Do you get? So after extending to the hemline, the next thing you want to do is to curve. So from the waistline, you can curve. There are two different ways of, actually, there are two different ways of achieving this curve. So you can decide to curve from the waistline down to the hip line. You connect like so, or rather you prefer making your curve from this dart leg to the waistline. Okay, but after making these two, I decide to go with this first one, which is from the dart leg to the waistline. Then I'll cancel this other one. You can decide to use the other one or use the same one that I want to use now, but I rather prefer to use the one from the dart leg to the waistline. Okay, I rather prefer to use that one. So now you can go ahead now to cut it out. This is for the front. Okay, so I'm going to identify this side as on fold. If I'm transferring this to the actual fabric, I will call that side on a fold. Okay, so I'll just label it so I don't get confused. So coming to this hem part, you can measure what you have at the hemline, then divide by 4. So what I had was 8. So I divided by 4 and it gave me 2 inch. So I will connect the 2 inch in a straight line like so. Okay, I'll just make a straight line, and from the point I labeled on fold, I'll mark 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so after cutting it out, I'll also repeat the same thing at the back. So at the back, just mark half of your nipple to nipple, then place the other side of the pattern, use it and trace it out and cut out. Okay, so also measure what you have at the hemline. Okay, then divide by 4, go ahead and cut and label. So I will label as front and back so I don't get confused. Now I will go ahead and slash. Okay, after cutting and labeling, just go ahead and slash. I've slashed the front or the back. Okay, I've slashed the back, so I'm slashing the front here. This is what we have here for the both front and back. Okay, so I'm also cutting the buste pattern we already drafted out. So this is what we have here after I was done. Okay, so this is for the band that was on top of the dress. Okay, so I'm going to just have to, I will cut it out. What I had there was 3 inch by length, and after that you close up your dart. This is optional. You can decide to make your dart invisible or you leave it visible. Okay, so I closed it. I used sellotape to hold it in a place, so this will make it invisible, meaning I won't be having any dart at the back. You can also decide to add that if you want. If you're adding that, no need closing up your dart. Okay, so guys, in my next tutorial I'll share with you guys on how to transfer them to the actual fabric, how to sew them to make it a beautiful dress. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.